Jungkook becomes the quiet center of attention in BTS's reunion photo. A bright smile, troubled eyes, and a question ARMY can't stop asking about Suga. What did ARMY really see in that one photo? And why did Jungkook's eyes spark more questions than answers? When BTS quietly released their latest reunion photo, the global reaction was instant, explosive, and emotionally divided. At first glance, it looked like everything fans had been waiting for. 6 familiar faces standing together again, a visual reminder that time, distance, and military service had not erased the bond that defined a generation. Jungkook stood there with a bright smile, relaxed shoulders, and an aura of warmth that immediately reassured millions. But within minutes, the narrative shifted. Screenshots were zoomed in, expressions were slowed down, and one unexpected detail became the center of global discussion: Jungkook's eyes. Fans across platforms began to ask the same unsettling question. Why does he look happy, yet worried at the same time? And is that worry about Suga? This is not the first time BTS fans have analyzed a single image as if it were a historical document, but this moment feels different. The absence of Suga was already heavy, already impossible to ignore, yet Jungkook's presence seemed to amplify that absence rather than soften it. His smile appeared genuine, but his gaze, according to many ARMY, carried something deeper, something unresolved, something that did not align with pure celebration. And suddenly, Jungkook was no longer just the youngest member standing proudly with his youngs. He became a symbol of emotional balance, quiet responsibility, and unspoken concern. Why did Jungkook stand slightly closer to the other members than usual? Why did his posture look protective rather than carefree? Why did fans feel that he was trying to fill a space that could not truly be filled? These questions spread rapidly, transforming a simple reunion photo into a psychological and emotional debate that transcended fandom and entered mainstream K-pop discourse. A news presenter would ask on air, calmly yet sharply, what does this image really tell us about BTS at this moment in time? And why is Jungkook, of all members, carrying the emotional weight of this narrative? The photo itself arrived without dramatic captions, without elaborate explanations. That simplicity was deceptive. BTS has always mastered the art of understatement, and this image followed that tradition. 6 members, standing together, dressed casually, smiling naturally. To the casual observer, it was a comforting sight. To ARMY, it was a canvas filled with clues. Jungkook's smile was wide, his lips curved upward in a way that suggested genuine happiness. Yet fans insisted that his eyes did not follow the same emotion. They appeared softer, heavier, almost reflective, as if his joy was carefully controlled rather than freely expressed. Many fans compared this look to previous group photos, noting subtle differences. Jungkook has often been described as emotionally transparent, someone whose feelings show easily on his face. In past celebrations, his eyes sparkled with unfiltered excitement. This time, fans argued that sparkle was tempered. Not gone, but restrained. And restraint, in the world of BTS analysis, is never accidental. The absence of Suga inevitably became the emotional center of this discussion. While fans understand the realities of schedules, health, and responsibilities, Suga's presence has always anchored the group with a quiet strength. His absence in a reunion photo feels larger than a missing member. It feels like a missing pillar. Jungkook, standing there as the youngest, appeared to many fans as if he was instinctively compensating for that loss, not through words, but through body language. Observers pointed out that Jungkook stood slightly closer to the other members, narrowing the physical gaps between them. His shoulders leaned inward, his stance less relaxed than usual. To some, this looked like a subconscious attempt to keep the group visually united, to prevent the image from feeling incomplete. Fans theorized that Jungkook, often described as the emotional glue of BTS, was silently taking on the role of stabilizer, ensuring that the warmth of the group remained intact despite the visible absence. Is it fair to place such emotional responsibility on Jungkook based on a single image? This question divided fans and critics alike. Yet the consistency of the observations across platforms suggests that this interpretation resonated deeply with many. Jungkook's role in BTS has evolved over the years. He is no longer just the golden magne admired for his talent and charm. He is now seen as a quiet pillar, someone who absorbs emotional weight to protect the collective spirit of the group. What makes this moment even more compelling is Jungkook's history of prioritizing the group over himself. Time and again, he has spoken about wanting to support BTS in any way he can. Fans recalled interviews where Jungkook expressed concern about the well-being of his members, moments where his voice softened when speaking about unity and togetherness. Against that backdrop, the theory that his eyes reflected worry rather than personal stress feels less like projection and more like pattern recognition. The emotional intensity surrounding this photo also reveals something deeper about the BTS-ARMY relationship. Fans are not simply consuming content. They are emotionally invested observers who feel connected to the members' inner worlds. Jungkook's expression became a mirror for ARMY's own feelings. Many fans admitted that while they were happy to see the reunion, they too felt an underlying concern about Suga. Jungkook's eyes, in this interpretation, did not create the worry. They reflected it. From a media perspective, this is a fascinating moment. Rarely does a single photograph generate such layered discussion without any official narrative driving it. There were no dramatic headlines attached to the release, no provocative statements. The story emerged organically, driven by collective emotional intelligence. Jungkook did not say a word, yet his image spoke volumes. Could this be why Jungkook has become the focal point of this reunion? Not because he demanded attention, but because his emotional transparency made him the most readable figure in the frame. His smile reassured, his eyes questioned, and that duality captured the exact emotional state of the fandom. As news presenters often remind viewers, images can be more powerful than statements. In this case, the image raised questions that no official announcement could answer. Is BTS fully complete in spirit when one member is absent? How do they carry that absence without diminishing their unity? And who, among them, silently bears the responsibility of holding that emotional balance? Jungkook's perceived attempt to keep things warm did not go unnoticed. Fans praised him for his maturity, for his quiet leadership, and for his emotional awareness. Some even described him as the emotional bridge between members, someone who instinctively senses when the group needs reassurance. In this narrative, Jungkook's happiness was real, but it was layered. He was happy to be reunited, happy to stand with his brothers, but aware that something or someone was missing. Critics, however, urged caution. They warned against overanalyzing and projecting narratives onto idols who did not explicitly express these feelings. They reminded fans that a single photo captures only a fraction of reality. Yet even these voices acknowledged the emotional impact of the image. The fact that such discussions emerged at all speaks to the depth of connection BTS has cultivated with its audience. From an SEO-driven media standpoint, this story resonates because it combines mystery, emotion, and relatability. It asks questions rather than offering definitive answers. Why did Jungkook's eyes look different? Was he worried about Suga, or was this simply a moment of reflection caught on camera? Is BTS entering a new emotional phase as a group, one defined by quiet strength rather than explosive joy? The absence of Suga also reignited conversations about the sacrifices BTS members make individually and collectively. Jungkook's expression became symbolic of that sacrifice. He looked like someone who understood the weight of the moment, someone who recognized that reunions are never simple returns to the past. They are negotiations between memory, reality, and hope. As the photo continued to circulate, fan edits, essays, and emotional reflections flooded social media. Jungkook's eyes were highlighted, circled, compared. For some, this analysis was an act of love, a way of staying emotionally connected. For others, it was a reminder of how deeply BTS's journey has intertwined with the emotional lives of their fans. One question remains at the heart of this story, and it refuses to fade. If Jungkook truly was carrying worry in his eyes, what does that say about the current state of BTS? And what does it say about the future? Is this a transitional moment, a quiet pause before full reunion, or a sign of deeper emotional growth within the group? What is certain is that Jungkook did not overshadow the reunion. Instead, he illuminated it. His expression captured the complexity of the moment, the coexistence of joy and concern, presence and absence, celebration and longing. In doing so, he became the emotional lens through which millions experienced the photo. As this news presenter might conclude, the power of BTS has never been about perfection. It has always been about honesty, even when that honesty is silent. Jungkook's smile told fans that happiness is still here. His eyes suggested that care and concern remain just as strong. And somewhere between those two emotions lies the true story of BTS at this moment in time. The question lingers, quietly but persistently. Was Jungkook simply caught in a thoughtful moment, or was he, once again, protecting the emotional heart of BTS while waiting for the day when all seven can stand together again? The conversation did not stop when the photo began to fade from timelines. Instead, it deepened. Hours after the image circulated, the focus subtly shifted from what was visible to what was felt. Jungkook's expression became a reference point in discussions about emotional labor within idol groups, especially one as historically close-knit as BTS. Analysts, fan writers, and casual observers alike began framing the moment not as an isolated reaction, but as part of a longer emotional narrative that BTS has been quietly building over the years. Jungkook's position in the group has always been unique. As the youngest, he entered BTS carrying admiration, dependence, and an almost childlike trust in his older members. Over time, that dynamic evolved. The once protected Magne grew into a figure of reliability, someone whose presence alone reassures both members and fans. In this reunion photo, many believe that evolution was visible. His body language suggested not someone seeking comfort, but someone offering it. That subtle shift is what made the image feel heavier than expected. The theory that Jungkook was consciously trying to maintain warmth within the group gained traction as fans revisited previous moments of absence in BTS history. Whenever one member was missing, the group dynamic visibly adjusted. Yet this time, the adjustment seemed quieter, more internal. Jungkook did not overcompensate with exaggerated expressions or forced cheer. Instead, he appeared steady, almost deliberately calm, as if understanding that stability itself was the message. This interpretation aligns with Jungkook's recent public demeanor. In his solo activities, fans have noticed a more introspective side, a Jungkook who speaks thoughtfully about time, responsibility, and growth. When placed back into a group context, that introspection does not disappear. It transforms into awareness. In the reunion photo, his smile did not demand attention, but his eyes invited reflection. That contrast is what made the image linger. Media outlets began echoing fan sentiments, carefully framing Jungkook as the emotional anchor of the moment. Headlines avoided definitive claims, instead leaning into curiosity and emotional nuance. This approach mirrored the fandom's own language. No one claimed certainty. Instead, they asked why the image felt the way it did. Why did joy feel slightly restrained? Why did unity feel intentional rather than effortless? The absence of Suga continued to loom large in these discussions. His role in BTS has always been that of a grounding force, someone who balances emotion with logic, intensity with calm. Without him physically present, fans speculated that the group's emotional equilibrium subtly shifted. In this vacuum, Jungkook's sensitivity became more noticeable. Not because he replaced Suga, but because he responded to the space left behind. What makes this narrative compelling is that it does not rely on dramatic gestures. There was no visible sadness, no overt sign of distress. The concern fans perceived was quiet, almost respectful. It was the kind of worry that exists alongside hope, not in opposition to it. Jungkook did not look like someone overwhelmed. He looked like someone aware. This awareness resonated deeply with ARMY because it reflected their own emotional state. Fans are no longer simply waiting for content. They are navigating a period of transition alongside the group. The reunion photo symbolized progress, but also patience. Jungkook's expression became the emotional shorthand for that dual reality. Happy but waiting. Together, but not complete, AS discussions continued. Some fans began questioning whether this moment marked a turning point in how BTS communicates with its audience. Could this be a deliberate choice to allow images and silence to speak louder than words? BTS has always